So for people who don't know, Cursor is this super cool new editor that's a fork of VS Code. It would be interesting to get your kind of explanation of your own journey of editors. How did you, I think all of you were big fans of VS Code with Copilot. How did you arrive to VS Code, and how did that lead to your journey with Cursor?
Yeah. So I think a lot of us, well, all of us were originally Vim users.
Pure Vim.
Pure Vim, yeah. No NeoVim, just pure Vim in a terminal. And at least for myself, it was around the time that Copilot came out, so 2021, that I really wanted to try it. So I went into VS Code, the only platform, the only code editor in which it was available. And even though I, really enjoyed using Vim, just the experience of Copilot with VS Code was more than good enough to convince me to switch. And so that kind of was the default until we started working on Cursor.
And maybe we should explain what Copilot does. It's like a really nice autocomplete. It suggests, as you start writing a thing, it suggests 1 or 2 or 3 lines how to complete the thing. And there's a fun experience in that, like when you have a close friendship and your friend completes your sentences. Like when it's done well, there's an intimate feeling. There's probably a better word than intimate, but there's a cool feeling of like, holy shit, it gets me.
Yeah.
Now, and then there's an unpleasant feeling when it doesn't get you. And so there's that kind of friction. But I would say for a lot of people, the feeling that it gets me overpowers that it doesn't.
And I think actually one of the underrated aspects of GitHub Copilot is that even when it's wrong, it's like a little bit annoying, but it's not that bad because you just type another character and then then it gets you, or you type another character and then it gets you. So even when it's wrong, it's not that bad.
Yeah, you can sort of iterate and fix it.
Yeah.
I mean, the other underrated part of Copilot for me sort of was just the first real AI product. So the first language model consumer product.
So Copilot was kind of like the first killer app for LLMs.
Yeah. And like the beta was out in 2021.
Right. Okay. So what's the origin story of Cursor?
So around 2020, the scaling laws papers came out from OpenAI. And that was a moment where this looked like clear, predictable progress for the field, where even if we didn't have any more ideas, it looked like you could make these models a lot better if you had more compute and more data.
By the way, we'll probably talk for 3 to 4 hours on the topic of scaling laws.
Yes.
But just to summarize, it's a paper and a set of papers and a set of ideas that say bigger might be better for model size and data size in the realm of machine learning.
It's bigger and better, but predictively better.
Okay, that's another topic of conversation.
Yeah.
But anyway,
So around that time, for some of us, there were like a lot of conceptual conversations about what's this going to look like? What's the story going to be for all these different knowledge worker fields about how they're going to be made better by this technology getting better. And then I think there were a couple of moments where like the theoretical gains predicted in that paper started to feel really concrete. And it started to feel like a moment where you could actually go and not, do a PhD if you wanted to work on, do useful work in AI. Actually felt like now there was this whole set of systems one could build that were really useful. And I think that the first moment we already talked about a little bit, which was playing with the early beta of Copilot, like that was awesome and magical. I think that the next big moment where everything kind of clicked together was actually getting early access to GPT-4. So it was sort of end of 2022 was when we were tinkering with that model. And the step up in capabilities felt enormous. And previous to that, we had been working on a couple of different projects. We had been, because of Copilot, because of scaling laws, because of our prior interest in the technology, we had been tinkering around with tools for programmers, but things that are like very specific. So, we were building tools for financial professionals who have to work within a Jupyter notebook, or like, playing around with, can you do static analysis with these models? And then the step up in GPT-4 felt like, look, that really made concrete the theoretical gains that we had predicted before. Felt like you could build a lot more just immediately at that point in time. And also, if we were being consistent, it really felt like this wasn't just going to be a point solution thing. This was going to be all of programming was going to flow through these models. It felt like that demanded a different type of programming environment, a different type of programming. And so we set off to build that sort of larger vision around that.
There's one that I distinctly remember. So my roommate is an IMO Gold winner, and there's a competition in the US called the Putnam, which is sort of the IMO for college people, and it's this math competition. He's exceptionally good. So Sheng Tong and Aman, I remember it's sort of June of 2022 had this bet on whether the 2024 June or July you were going to win a gold medal in the IMO with like models.
IMO is the International Math Olympiad.
Yeah, IMO is International Math Olympiad, and so Arvid and I are both sort of also competed in it, so it was sort of personal. And and I remember thinking, man, this is not going to happen. This was like even though I sort of believed in progress, I thought, IMO gold, just like Aman is just delusional.
Yeah.
That was the and to be honest, I was, to be clear, very wrong, but that was maybe the most prescient bet in the group.
So the new results from DeepMind, it turned out that you were correct. That's what
it was
technically not.
Technically incorrect, but 1 point away.
Aman was very enthusiastic about this stuff. Back then. And before, Aman had this like scaling laws T-shirt that he would walk around with, where it had the like charts and like the formulas on it.
Oh, so you like felt the AGI, or you felt the scaling?
Yeah,
laws.
I distinctly remember there was this one conversation I had with Michael where before I hadn't thought super deeply and critically about scaling laws. And he kind of posed the question, why isn't scaling all you need? Or why isn't scaling going to result in massive gains in progress? And I think I went through like the stages of grief. There is anger, denial, and then finally at the end, just thinking about it, acceptance. And I think I've been quite hopeful and optimistic about progress since. I think one thing I'll caveat is I think it also depends on like which domains you're going to see progress. Like math is a great domain because, especially like formal theorem proving, because you get this fantastic signal of actually verifying if the thing was correct. And so this means something like RL can work really, really well. And I think like you could have systems that are perhaps very superhuman at math and still not technically have AGI.
Okay, so can we take it all the way to Cursor?
Mm-hmm.
And what is Cursor? It's a fork of VS Code, and VS Code is one of the most popular editors for a long time. Like everybody fell in love with it. Mm-hmm. Everybody left Vim. I left Emacs for it. Sorry. So it unified in some fundamental way the developer community. And then you look at the space of things. You look at the scaling laws. AI is becoming amazing. And you decided, okay, it's not enough to just write an extension for VS Code because there's a lot of limitations to that. We need, if AI is going to keep getting better, 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 we need to really like rethink how the AI is going to be part of the editing process. And so you decided to fork VS Code and start to build a lot of the amazing features we'll be able to talk about. But what was that decision like? Because there's a lot of extensions, including Copilot, of VS Code that are doing sort of AI type stuff. What was the decision like to just fork VS Code?
So the decision to do an editor seemed kind of self-evident to us for at least what we wanted to do and achieve. Because when we started working on the editor, the idea was these models are going to get much better, their capabilities are going to improve, and it's going to entirely change how you build software. Both in you will have big productivity gains, but also radical in how like the act of building software is going to change a lot. And so you're very limited in the control you have over a code editor if you're a plugin to an existing coding environment. And we didn't want to get locked in by those limitations. We wanted to be able to just build the most useful stuff.
Okay, well then the natural question is, VS Code is kind of, with Copilot, a competitor. So how do you win? Is it basically just the speed and the quality of the features?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a space that is quite interesting, perhaps quite unique, where if you look at previous tech waves, maybe there's kind of one major thing that happened and it unlocked a new wave of companies. But every single year, every single model capability or jump you get in model capabilities, you now unlock this new wave of features, things that are possible, especially in programming. And so I think in AI programming, being even just a few months ahead, let alone a year ahead, makes your product much, much, much more useful. I think the cursor a year from now will need to make the cursor of today look obsolete. And I think, Microsoft They've done a number of like fantastic things, but I don't think they're in a great place to really keep innovating and pushing on this in the way that a startup can.
Just rapidly implementing features.
And push, yeah, like and kind of doing the research experimentation necessary to really push the ceiling.
I don't know if I think of it in terms of features as I think of it in terms of like capabilities for programmers. It's that like, as the new O1 model came out, and I'm sure there are going to be more models of different types, like longer context and maybe faster. Like there's all these crazy ideas that you can try, and hopefully 10% of the crazy ideas will make it into something kind of cool and useful. And we want people to have that sooner. To rephrase, it's like an underrated fact is we're making it for ourselves. When we started Cursor, you really felt this frustration that, models, you could see models getting better, but the Copilot experience had not changed. It's like, man, these guys, like the ceiling is getting higher. Like, why are they not making new things? Like they should be making new things. They should be like, where's all the alpha features? There were no alpha features. It was like, I'm sure it was selling well. I'm sure it was a great business, but it didn't feel. I'm one of these people that really want to try and use new things, and it was just there's no new thing for like a very long while.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know how you put that into words, but when you compare Cursor with Copilot pretty quickly started to feel stale for some reason.
Yeah, I think one thing that I think helps us is that we're sort of doing it all in one, where we're developing the UX and the way you interact with the model at the same time as we're developing like how we actually make the model give better answers. So like how you build up the prompt or like how do you find the context, and for a Cursor tab, like how do you train the model? So I think that helps us to have all of it like sort of like the same people working on the entire experience end to end.
Yeah, it's like the person making the UI and the person training the model like sit to like 18 feet away. So
Often they're the same person even.
Yeah, often even the same person. So you can create things that are sort of not possible if you're not talking, you're not experimenting.